So today we're talking about account level service, which I think is a pretty awesome topic. It kind of wraps into the whole account-based, account level jargon that's floating around the internet right now, especially in the world of B2B. So hello, I'm Matt Amundson. I'm the head of marketing and sales development at a company called Everstring. If you guys are not familiar, which is crazy, we are an AI or predictive marketing solution, and our mission as an organization is to help our customers accelerate pipeline growth and close won deals through the use of AI-assisted marketing and AI-assisted sales. My personal or professional history. So I went to UCLA. I graduated from UCLA, and like a lot of student athletes, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my career. Unfortunately for a lot of student athletes, most of the times they're sort of pressed into going to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car just because Enterprise is such a large sponsor of the NCAA. And that can be unfortunate because I think if anybody here is a hiring manager in Silicon Valley, people love hiring former student athletes. And I just don't think most of them are aware of the fact that if they ship themselves up to Northern California, they'd probably have their pick of some really awesome jobs. So I graduated, wasn't sure what to do. Luckily for me, somebody introduced me to an energy drink company that at the time, it really sounds silly for me to say was small, but at the time was really small, 120 people operating out of Santa Monica. I worked there for a couple of years during that time. We grew the business from about $400 million in annual sales to $2 billion, thanks in large part to landing two very large big box retail accounts in Walmart and Target. Which also helped our business have coast-to-coast distribution for the first time. After leaving Red Bull, I went to go to work for a company called Foster Grant, which many of you in this room may not know. Your grandparents probably know it, because it was really, really popular about 80 years ago. They had a marketing campaign called Who's Behind Those Foster Grants, and oftentimes it was famous people from that era. The cool thing about working at Foster Grant was it was my first exit. It was a non-tech exit. We were acquired by a company called Essilor, which makes transitions lenses, Crizal lenses. So that was pretty sweet. Left the Central Coast and moved to Silicon Valley, where I crash landed at a small company called Marketo, my first tech job, which was an amazing rocket ship of a business. I know that you guys have plenty of ex-Marketo employees at Apttus and sort of here around the valley. But we IPO'd and we were acquired by Vista for just under $2 billion. So that was a nice double payment. And when I left Marketo, I went to a company called Tibco, which is about a 25-year-old technology company. Everybody at Marketo told me I was an idiot for leaving and going there. 18 months later, it got acquired for $4.3 billion. So I did a double one of these, limiting the number of fingers. Sorry, I know it's a very conservative audience. To all those people, and it was an awesome experience. Left after the acquisition and landed at Everstring, and that's where I'm at now. Whoa, that's fun. Okay, so what is account level service? Account level service is really the strategy of engaging with an account holistically in an effort to align business objectives of that account with the product or service benefits of what you're selling. All right, and this occurs best in three phases of the customer journey. One, prospecting, two, selling, and the other at renewal. So we're going to cover those three topics today. My background is mostly in sales development, but I'm also running a marketing department too, so we talk about how we do that. And crazy enough, I actually had some experience in a sales capacity as well. So account level service is about, this is what's really, really important to me. This is like my big, now that I'm running a marketing department, what I get really excited about. It's two things, and it comes from my experience in both beverage and B2C in the consumer packaged goods world. And this is something that most B2B marketers and salespeople have completely lost sight of, okay? It's the idea of surprise and delight, okay? We are in such a rush to create programs in Marketo and Eloqua and Pardot, and to do prospecting through tools like InsideSales.com and ToutApp, now owned by Marketo, and SalesLoft and Outreach, that we've completely lost track of this. It's merely a numbers game now, right? So if I send out 1,000 emails, what am I going to get back from that, right? And that is how people think. If I make 100 phone calls in a day, what am I going to get back from that? But the thing that you cannot get out of that is you cannot surprise nor delight anybody. Okay? You just can't do it, because when you're moving at that pace, like surprise and delight is like supply and demand. Okay? The more you do something, the less people are surprised and delighted by it. Okay? I think, I don't know how schooled you guys are or how much time you guys spend on LinkedIn, but if you recall, like maybe 3 months ago, there became this like very cool thing of like writing a post and tagging 75 people in the bottom of it. That was really exciting because it was like polling all these people's opinions and getting like really important people to interact with it. Well, about a month ago, all those people started saying, stop tagging me in this shit. Okay? I don't want to get all these notifications. I don't want to learn every time somebody liked this or commented on it, right? So it was interesting because it was special for a moment, but once it became sort of ubiquitous, no one cared anymore. So the thing that B2B professionals have been trained to do is operationalize processes that scale, cast a super wide net, focus on volume, try to always monetize relationships, and then people are really reduced to the idea of playing their part. We've all sort of created, and a lot of it stems from what Salesforce was doing in the early 2000s, but we've created these very defined roles where people I just do the calling, and I just do the emailing, and I just do the selling, and I just do the contracts, and then I just do the success part, right? So because of this, what this has led to is lots and lots of people LinkedIn and tweeting out stuff like this, where they're super pissed off with the type of outreach that they're getting, the types of relationships that they're getting with their vendors, right? People are the rudest email pitch I've ever seen. And let me just tag the company while I'm at it, right? Let me just blow you up to your CEO. This is the types of results that we've seen, right? Send spam. People are all concerned about spam. And the thing that everybody needs to realize is, much like Twitter is sort of the comment section of the world, LinkedIn is the comment section of business. And if you do something dumb, someone's going to blow you up here. So how do you not do things that are dumb? Like, how do you get responses that look like this? Right? This is a Slack message from my CEO who's telling me, hey, I met with the CMO of a company, and he said that your SDR's outreach was so good that he had to take the meeting with us. Right? How do you get email responses back from prospects that say, by giving me the most personalized email I've ever received, let's talk on Friday, right? By reaching out and constantly adding value in the message that you send to people. How do you get messages back like, hey, I know you're being persistent, but it's relevant, so it's pleasant. Keep sending this type of stuff. Here's the buyers. Let's schedule a meeting. So let's get started. Let's talk about it. So does anybody know who this person is? You know, you can say it. There's only like 10 of us in here. Who is it? He's from The Princess Bride. He's not the actual Princess Bride herself, but it's Count Tyrone Rugen. He's the six-fingered man. Why is that important? Because I've got 6 ways to surprise and delight. All right, so number 1, to surprise and delight your prospects during the prospecting process. It's got to be personal. But personalization is not enough. It's also got to be relevant. So what that means is, if you send me something that's highly personalized, but I don't give a shit about it, I'm probably not going to respond, okay? So it must be through channels that marketing automation cannot communicate through. Now that's really important. Why? Because most people now understand that most of the unsolicited messages that they're receiving come through a marketing automation system. What is the number 1 channel that marketing automation system likes to communicate through? Email. That's right. Email is the number 1 channel that marketing automation likes to communicate through. Right? So most people automatically assume that each email they receive is totally canned. What is the number 1 channel that you can communicate through that proves you're not a marketing automation system? The phone. I don't know. I think someone said Facebook, but it's one, but it's not number 1. Anyways, the phone, right? The other one would be social. I know that you can do like paid direct messages through LinkedIn now, which totally sucks, but social is definitely another one. All right, it must be about them, not about you. How many of you guys receive messages from people that say, hey, I'm Matt Amundson from Everstring. I'd really like to, right? I'm this person, and I'd really like to, as opposed to making it about them. It's got to be structured. We'll talk about what that structure looks like, and it's got to include email, phone, and social. So the reason why I always say it has to include all three is because 1 + 1 + 1 does not equal 3 in this situation. The sum is worth more than the parts. Each time you layer on another one, each becomes more valuable. All right, so social. We'll start in social. This is a different meme than most people show when they're talking about social selling. Most people show the meme where it says, just got a connection request, or just accepted a connection request. The person immediately sent me a message trying to pitch me a product, right? That is not social selling. Sending somebody an email or a message through LinkedIn is not social selling, not at all. That's just emailing through LinkedIn, okay? And if you try to just do that, you're going to be just as inefficient as if you just try to send emails. So you want to get personal with people. And like, it's actually really, really easy to get personal with people. Because people put a lot about themselves like in really confined spaces, right? Their professional headline, like mine's not professional at all. I say I'll take meetings for cupcakes. Their recent activity. I know a lot of people don't know this, and I know this is LinkedIn's old UI, but if you click this little button, it'll show you everybody's recent activity. I'm sure everybody in the room knew that. I'm not gonna, somebody back there looks like they didn't. Published articles. So it's a great place to engage with people in the things that they write. And then their interest was actually below the fold. But like, people put a ton about themselves right here that you can just totally mine to start a great conversation. So I'll show you how to do that. There's a few Apttus people in the room, so I'm sure you're familiar with this person's face. So these were all vetted by SVP of Marketing, Maria Pergolino. So she works at Apttus, previously at Marketo. Here's a great subject line. Your experience at Apttus and Marketo. Just a great way to prove that you're a person. Why? Because nobody stores where someone currently and formerly works in Salesforce. You can't tokenize that. A human being has to do that. Okay? Demand generation. Maria, your team is amazing at demand generation. You appreciate that, right, Dan? Right? That's a great way to be flattering of a person as well as prove that you're a human being. I went to Rutgers. So people tell me this all the time. Hey, Matt, most people don't put stuff like this up there. Well, just about everybody puts that on there. And that's a really easy way to start a conversation because, again, most people don't store where their prospects attended university in a field in Salesforce. From Scarlett Knight to SVP of Marketing, wow. It's pretty cool, right? Great way to start a conversation. And the thing about this is you can't just subject line this and not deliver on that promise. Baiting and switching, having these great subject lines and then just pitching a product does not work. It's a surefire way to get somebody to tell you 2 words. The first one isn't thank. Okay, personalization isn't enough. It's all about relevance now. So it's about what you want to say as well as what your prospects want to hear. So you got to relate it to their business. So we talked about being personal, but also relate it to what's happening in their organization. What I'm talking about is being able to successfully benefit map your product to the needs of the organization that you're prospecting into. All right, so this is us actually sending an email. And this email went to a prospect. And that prospect received it, got really happy, talked to a salesperson, and then paid us $30,000 for our service, right? Pretty badass. So personalized. From SDR to Director of Sales Dev, you're the expert. We make good on that by saying like, hey, I saw you won an award. That's super great. Awesome. Relevance. So all the sentiments aside, because you lead a sales development team, here's why you should be looking into our solution. And then the third piece is a canned value prop. There's two ways of going at a canned value prop. One, you can do like a highly professional from your product marketing, or 2, you can use your demand generation team to write something that's very conversational. I like using this conversational style. Why? Because people think that you're talking to them like a person. Did everybody go to Guru Ganesh's session? People want to talk to other people like people. People don't want to be sold to. People want to they buy from people they like. They buy from organizations that they like. And if your SDR team can provide this level of service to a prospect at the beginning, and your salespeople, who are all paying tons and tons of money to, can provide this level of service while they're selling, you're going to start closing a lot more business. Here's a new piece of technology that we're using. It's called Viewed It from Vidyard. We're able to send emails like this, but in the format of a video. So we can say, hey, I made a video for you. And the cool thing is you can demo the product here, have your little talking head down here. We do under 60 seconds on these videos. Pretty awesome. They can be delivered through email. They can also be delivered directly through in-mails and messages inside of LinkedIn. Awesome. What's our response rate to messages like this? Currently, we're at 50%. We've been running this for 3 weeks. The response rate is off the charts. Okay? So 1 in 2 people that we send this to will respond to us. Some of them will say, amazing video, I'm not interested in your solution, but they're responding nonetheless. Right? Here's the deal. Over the course of the next year, hundreds, maybe thousands of organizations will adopt this technology, and the response rates will fall through the floor. But in the meantime, you can go out and get ahead of some of this stuff by doing some really cool and interesting things like sending videos. All right. We talked about surprising and delight during prospecting, but you can also surprise and delight during selling. So there was a couple of key metrics that we looked into when we were evaluating a CPQ solution. Some problems that we were having as we were getting deals to the finish line, right? Number one, we wanted to make it a better experience. Like overall, the experience was just shitty. And for a lot of people, when you're closing a deal, the experience is shitty, right? Your buyer is actually not the person that you're dealing with anymore. You could be dealing with the other company's legal team. You're dealing with your legal team. There's a lot of back and forth. So if you can expedite that process by making it accurate, that's really important, right? Just like having simple accuracy in every contract that you send out, it seems simple, but for all of you and for the folks at Apttus, you know that you can build a billion-dollar organization by just doing that. You want to make the process as fast as possible. Like, not only is it expensive for them and their legal team, it's expensive for you and your legal team. It's a huge drain on resources. You've got your CEO saying, when are you going to book the thing? When are you going to book the thing? When are you going to book the thing? Or if you're a larger organization, you have your CFO saying the same thing, right? So if you could expedite that process by making it smooth and accurate, you're in a much better situation. And then the thing that we definitely needed was to get auto renewals baked in right when the prospect was signing a deal with us. So I didn't use our statistics because I wasn't sure of the audience, and we're a very small organization. We might not be the smallest company using Apttus, but we're definitely in the bottom quartile. So I pulled some statistics right off the Apttus website. Our stats are a little bit more all over the place just because we're the type of business we close like 30 or 40 customers per quarter. I think that most of the customers using Apttus are closing in the hundreds, maybe thousands. So theirs are probably a little bit more normalized. But these were the statistics that were valuable to us, and these are the results that their customers are seeing, right? A faster time to quote by 23%. Unbelievable, right? Contract accuracy improving by 31%. Contracts auto-renew at 19%, an improvement in vendor-supplier relationship. And that's really important. That was what we gauged our great experience with our prospects as we were getting them across the finish line. That was a really, really important statistic. So the final piece that I'll talk about is renewals. And I know a lot of salespeople don't always think of renewals, especially right when they close a deal. But this is a really, really critical part. Who here has ever bought anything? Right. Okay, so you go through this awesome sales cycle, hopefully it's awesome. And you get all excited and you're like, I'm gonna get my shiny new toy and it's gonna be amazing. But what's the actual reality after you close a deal, right? Like after you sign or your CFO signs or whatever. This is really weird, like sort of nebulous 2 or 3 days where you're like, oh, what just happened? Did I buy it? Who's gonna reach out? And then the first person you talk to is usually an enablement person. who doesn't know you, it doesn't give a shit about you. You're just like, oh, I've got 25 people that I've got to get enabled. You're just one of them, right? So there's a really cool way that salespeople, and in our case, I engage with our prospects post-sale. So surprises and delights do not have to stop when a deal is closed, right? And this has real business impact. I'm going to talk about it, right? So what do we want to do? We want to make the post-sale experience awesome. When you sign a deal and a customer enablement person sends you an email that says like, hey, like when are you free on Tuesday? I've got these availabilities. Like, that's not an awesome experience. So we want to sort of challenge that and make it a lot better. So the thing that I say is sales reps, don't stop. Now that you've closed the deal, this is the right time to come engage, right? You want to make the first few days awesome. How do we make the first couple of days awesome? Your marketing department will guaranteed thank you. There's a couple things that happen as a result. So most salespeople, they close a deal, they walk away, right? But here's what we do. Every time we close a deal, we have this kick out through a product that we use called Engagio. You guys may know John Miller from Marketo days. He now runs Engagio. So every time we close a deal, we have this go out. Essentially says, hey, Rob, thank you for choosing to work with Everstring. We're excited to have Docebo as a customer, but more specifically, we're excited to have you be a part of the Everstring family. We'd love to feature you on our blog and share your story. I've copied our manager of customer marketing here. Are you free for a 20-minute conversation? You can also drop some personalization in here. Now, this comes from me, but as a salesperson, could you imagine doing that? Right? Because you know all about them. You've learned who they are. You know their story. And your marketing department is starving for shit to put on their blog. And the thing that they really want to put on your blog is stuff about their customers. But a marketing department engaging with customers is actually kind of tricky. Now here's the thing. Someone's all hot and bothered. They just gave you $30,000, $100,000, $1 million, right? And they're like, oh, what did I just do? You can create this really nice soft landing for them and say, hey, you're amazing. We want to feature you on the blog. Who in Silicon Valley does not want to get featured on someone else's blog or have someone write an article about them, right? Everybody wants that level of exposure. Everybody wants to build their brand. And there's no validation like third-party validation, right? So, okay, cool. Well, I gave you $1 million. You put me on your blog post. That's a fair deal, right? Not so much, but it's super helpful because this kickstarts advocacy, right? Somebody who's willing to do a blog post, you can go back to them in 6 months and say, hey, remember that blog post we wrote about you? It's so awesome, got so many impressions. It's given us X amount of deals. It's amazing. Would you do a case study with us? Right? They've already dipped their toes into working with you post-sale. Might as well take it to the next level. So these are the types of responses we get back from people. When I started this program, I was hoping to get a 40% response rate. We get an 85% response rate on these types of emails. Why? Because everybody wants someone else to write about them. So Rob said, hey, absolutely, thanks for reaching out. Everyone I've interacted with on your team has been fantastic, and I would be happy to help in any way. Here's some time, let's coordinate. Unbelievable response, right? And then what happened when we got him enabled? Our team already set 5 meetings and key accounts in the first 2 hours of using Everstring. Talk about jump-starting advocacy. We created a great experience in his sales cycle, right from prospecting all the way through close. After we closed him, this guy was so excited to be on our blog, and boom, as soon as he started using it, he started tweeting about us. That's pretty awesome. Here's another one from VP of Sales at a company called FuelX, right? This just is a great way to get the party started, folks, right? Like, there's a ton of value that your customers can give you other than just money, right? Everybody talks about if you want to run effective demand gen, you need third-party validation, especially when you're an up-and-coming business. So what are the results that we have from running that program, which we instituted about 6 months ago? 33% reduction in churn, 70% increase in POC to contract, so proof of concept, usually 3 months, into lock-in on a contract, and 500% increase in customer success stories. Boom, we just fueled the pipeline for advocacy, and for our marketing department to go do much more successful customer marketing. So, I'm at the end of my presentation, so 3 quick takeaways. AccountLevel service is about surprising and delighting. Don't forget that. B2C companies do it a ton. B2B companies do it almost 0. Create great experience all along the customer journey. Rethink what you are doing across the phases of your customer journey, from prospect to close, all the way to post-sale. And be personal, sincere, and put your customers before yourself. They really appreciate it, right? They're sick of hearing about you. They really want to hear about them. So thank you. You can find me on Twitter, Matty856. I'm on LinkedIn under my regular name. And then I'm Matt at Everstring because I joined the company when there was less than 20 employees. Any questions? How about a round of applause for me? Thank you.